So hope you guys enjoy this. So one day I was out walking with my partner, and we're down by Tahca Oyate-deer, which is, some people say it's the place where they mark the trees red. But what they're really saying is they mark the red trees, because it's where they collect chanshasha from the red willow bark to make our traditional tobacco. So it's a very sacred place of harvesting for our people to pack into that chanumpa, to that sacred pipe. And it's a very, very old place that we were visiting, and kind of in communing with the places where our ancestors had walked for generations and for hundreds of years. And so we're kind of walking these really old trails by Minnesota Wakaba, Minnesota River. And it was early in the hunting season for deer, for the Tahca Oyate-deer, the deer people. And as we're walking through this forest, we were just enjoying our time there because it was such a beautiful, beautiful fall day. And the leaves are falling and they're yellow and all different colors. And as you're walking them, they're crunching. And that's pretty much the only thing you could hear is the sound of the leaves underneath your feet, the wind kind of blowing through the trees and the branches swaying. It was just perfect. And then very, very far off, we could hear this echo of this gunshot that went off. And then we're kind of shook out of our little, kind of moment. And we're like, oh, that's right. We're hunting season, and we're wearing all brown and stuff. So, and and we kind of maybe look like that Tahca, that deer. So we're kind of like, oh. And well, let's just keep looking around. I'm sure that was really far away. I'm sure we're okay. And as we kind of walked, and enjoying ourselves, taking pictures and everything, all of a sudden we could kind of hear this rustling of footsteps, of sounds coming from a little far off. And it kind of started getting a little bit closer and closer. At first it was fast, and it sounded like maybe more than one, either person or animal that was approaching. And then as it kind of got closer to us, it started to slow down. And it became very deliberate sounding. And we're just kind of standing there like, let's just be quiet for a minute. Let's see what's happening here, because we don't know what it is. We don't want to scare anything or disrupt anything too much. So let's just kind of stand here for a little bit, be quiet. And as we did that, we could hear again something coming around this hill behind us, very, very slowly, very, very intentionally. And eventually we kind of turned around and looked like that, and here we could see this huge buck, this big deer coming around there. And he kind of like was looking over at us, kind of like cautiously, and we just stood there like, okay, just be still, this is his home, so we're just visitors here, be still. And he just kind of slowly walked in front of us. He was maybe 15 feet away from us, really, really close. And we're just like, look, he keeps staring right at us. What's he doing? And he kind of just kept his gaze on us the whole time, and he slowly walked up this hill the whole time looking back at us. Just taking his time, making sure that he had our attention. And I was like, why is he doing this? We're just like, this is something different. There's something happening here. And so I went to take a picture of it, and I swear I could see right through that lens, he's looking right into my eye. And I was just kind of standing there, and all of a sudden, after about maybe 3 minutes of just complete silence of looking at each other, we heard couple other steps, some sounds of other animals approaching from the other side of this hill. So again, we stood there just looking at this other deer, this buck, and then all of a sudden, eventually out of our periphery, we could see his mate and their child. They came around very slowly, again looking at us from the other side. And we looked at them like that. They kind of looked at us, and we all looked at him. We looked over there, we looked back and forth. And then eventually, they started to kind of just wander off a little bit. And the whole time, he just kept his gaze on us. And after this, we stood there and we're like, oh, I know what happened. Because as soon as his partner and their child got to safety, to a safe distance, then he kind of slowly just nodded his head, turned and wandered to go meet them and leave us there. And we stood there kind of thinking about it. We're like, we just witnessed something here that we need to learn from. That buck, that deer, when he saw us and recognized us as people, he assumed that we were possibly hunters. And what he was doing is keeping our gaze fixed on him, because if we were, then he was willing to sacrifice his life to make sure that his family lived, to make sure that they got away safely. And he was willing to give himself up to do that. And so that really reminded me of all these stories that I heard when I was a child of how you can learn things by just being quiet, being still, and letting nature and everything around you just happen. You can talk all you want, you can do whatever you feel like you want to do to try to make something happen. Sometimes it just does itself. And so that day I was taught love and sacrifice from the Tahca Oyate-deer king. Tahca Oyate-deer. Thank you.